The power of shifting your focus. How changing your story can transform your health and life. I want to share a transformative story with you today. It's the story of my dear friend Emma and how her understanding of life, health, and the power of her thoughts completely shifted her reality. This story is about how the words we speak to ourselves, the stories we tell, and the energy we align with can change everything, especially when it comes to our physical well-being. Let me take you back to when I first met Emma. She's the kind of person who is always striving for more, seeking improvement, and looking for ways to better herself. She's deeply intelligent, always researching, reading, and exploring the best ways to take care of her mind and body. If you had a health question, Emma would be the first person to have the answer. She was the type of person who could tell you exactly what food to eat, what exercises to do, what supplements to take. She was thorough, dedicated, and always well prepared. But there was one problem. Despite all of her knowledge, Emma was struggling with her health. For months, Emma had been feeling exhausted. She was tired, drained, and no amount of sleep seemed to help. Her energy was low, and she had aches and pains that just wouldn't go away. She followed all the advice she could find, did the right things, but her body wasn't responding the way she expected. She would talk to me about it, and no matter what she tried, whether it was changing her diet, exercising more, or meditating, she didn't feel better. It seemed like no matter how much she learned or how much she did, nothing seemed to make a real difference. Emma started to feel frustrated. "I don't get it," she would say. "I've done everything they say. I follow all the advice, but nothing is changing." Her health continued to decline, and no matter how much she tried to stay optimistic, it felt like a losing battle. And then one day, when we met for coffee, she finally opened up about just how worn out she was. "I feel like I've tried everything. I eat right, I exercise, I even meditate, but my body isn't cooperating. It's like I'm doing all the right things, but it's not working. I'm so tired of feeling like this. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong." I could hear the frustration in her voice, the weariness. She wasn't just tired physically, it felt like she was spiritually drained. Her body wasn't responding the way she expected, and she was losing hope. As I sat there listening to her, I began to understand something important. Emma had been focusing so much on the actions, eating healthy, exercising, following the rules, that she had overlooked one key thing: her thoughts and energy. She had been so focused on what wasn't working that she hadn't given enough attention to shifting her internal focus to what she wanted to feel, what she wanted to experience. And that's when I realized there was something I needed to share with her, something that could shift her entire perspective. I looked at her and said, "Emma, I think you're missing something. You see, words don't teach us. Life experience does. We can read all the books, listen to the best advice, and follow the steps. But it's only when we experience these truths for ourselves that we truly begin to understand them. And that's where the shift needs to happen." She looked at me with a furrowed brow. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I've followed everything I've been told. I've learned all the right things, but my body is still not cooperating." "Well, let me explain," I said. "Simply hearing the right words, reading all the best health books, doesn't automatically lead to understanding. It's not enough to just know the information. What truly creates change is when you begin to live that information. It's when you shift your energy, align with what you want, and allow your thoughts to match the reality you want to experience. You can't just focus on what's wrong, Emma. You need to focus on what could be right." She looked a little confused but intrigued. "But how do I do that?" she asked. "How do I stop thinking about how tired I am, about the pain in my joints, and focus on something better?" "Great question," I replied. "It's not about ignoring what's happening in your body. It's about shifting your focus. It's about taking your attention away from what's wrong and putting it on what you want to create. It's about telling a different story, one that aligns with what you want to feel. Right now, your focus is on the lack of wellness, the fatigue, and the pain. And guess what? That's what your body is responding to. But when you change your focus and start aligning your energy with health, with vitality, and with well-being, your body begins to respond differently. It's like a tuning fork. Whatever you focus on, you begin to tune your energy to that frequency. She sat back in her chair, trying to process what I was saying. But doesn't it feel like I'm ignoring the problem if I focus on wellness when I feel sick? Not at all, I said. It's about directing your focus toward the possibility of wellness, even when you're not feeling it yet. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about giving yourself permission to focus on what could be better. When you align with the energy of health, when you start telling a story of recovery, of vitality, of strength, that's when the universe begins to respond. Your body will start to mirror the energy you're putting out. She looked thoughtful but still a little skeptical. So you're saying I should start telling myself that I feel good, even if I don't? Yes, I said, smiling. It's not about lying to yourself, it's about choosing a different perspective. Every day, start telling a different story. Instead of saying, I'm so tired, or I don't feel good, say, I'm learning to feel more energized every day, or I'm grateful for my body and the healing that's already taking place. Focus on what you do want, instead of what you don't want. Focus on the possibility of feeling good, and you will begin to experience it. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try it. I'm not sure how it will work, but I'll give it a shot. Over the next few weeks, Emma began to experiment with what I had suggested. At first it felt strange for her. She wasn't used to focusing on wellness when all she could feel was tiredness and pain. But every day she made a conscious effort to shift her focus. She would wake up in the morning, and instead of thinking about how exhausted she felt, she would remind herself, today is a new day. I am learning how to feel more energized. I am grateful for the small moments of vitality I feel. As the days went by, she began to notice subtle shifts. Her energy levels were a little higher. The aches in her joints weren't as intense. She started sleeping better at night and waking up feeling more refreshed. She still wasn't perfect. There were still moments of fatigue and discomfort, but she was beginning to feel a real change. Most importantly, she no longer felt hopeless. She felt empowered. One day, about a month after we had talked, Emma called me. Her voice was filled with excitement. I have to tell you something, she said. I'm feeling so much better. It's not perfect, but it's so much better than before. I feel more alive, more energized. I can't believe how just focusing on what I want to feel has made such a difference. I smiled to myself, proud of her. See? I told you, shifting your focus changes everything. You created this change with your thoughts, your words, and your energy. What happened to Emma is not a miracle. It's not something that only happens to a select few. Emma's transformation came from understanding one very important thing. The story you tell yourself about your body, your health, and your life is what shapes your reality. Our bodies are deeply responsive to the energy we put out into the world. When we focus on what we don't want, on our pain, our sickness, our fatigue, that's what we attract. But when we shift our focus to what we want to experience, health, vitality, strength, our bodies align with that energy. So, I want to ask you this. What story are you telling yourself about your body, about your health, about your life? Are you focusing on what's wrong, or are you focusing on the possibility of what could be right? I challenge you to try something new, just like I challenged Emma. Tell a different story. Focus on what feels good, on the possibility of wellness, on the potential for growth and vitality, and see what happens. Remember, life experience teaches us far more than words ever will. The moment you shift your story is the moment your life begins to change. This story of Emma's journey illustrates the power of shifting our focus, thoughts, and energy. It shows how we can change our physical health and well-being by consciously aligning with the energy of what we want, rather than what we don't. The message is simple yet profound. The story you tell yourself is the story you live. And if you want to change your reality, start by changing the story.